Let's return now to some of that politics the Prime Minister was referring to and bring in Liberal Senator Sarah Henderson. Senator Henderson, thanks for your time. Given the position on net zero now, given where the party's landed, can you express support for Sussan Ley and her leadership?
Well, Kieran, can I firstly just say, and I've just heard the Prime Minister, and I'm going to say very clearly to all Australians, everyone watching this show right now, there are major consequences for this Prime Minister lying. Because the bottom line is, with power prices, they are going through the roof, up 40% since Labor was elected. And the policy that we have announced, and Sussan is out day one, and I absolutely back her for getting out and fighting for all Australians, for lower emissions and lower affordable power prices, is we are telling Australians the truth. This net zero rubbish is an ideology that has not worked. Of course, the truth is, Kieran, that more than 50% of our power comes from coal. And what we are saying is we are going to be technology neutral. We are not going to turn our back on any form of energy in this country, particularly when we are a resources-rich country. We are blessed with so much gas and coal and uranium and critical minerals. And yes, renewables have a very strong place in our country. But we are not going to cop the Prime Minister's lies, and it is time the Labor government and this Prime Minister started to tell the truth.
So you support 100% Sussan Ley's leadership?
I absolutely support the decision that we have made, and I'm not going to be drawn and be a commentator, Kieran. I mean, I made some comments a few weeks ago where I raised concerns, but my focus now is solely on being part of a strong team to sell our policy to the Australian people, to families, to small businesses, to heavy industry, to manufacturers, because if we do not have cheap, reliable power, we have an economy going backwards. And as for the rubbish this Prime Minister is talking about, trying to talk, portray us as climate action denialists, I mean, that is just so untrue. Another lie. And I am saying with certainty and with conviction, we are not going to cop this Prime Minister's lies any longer.
It's interesting, though, because Sussan Ley's basically done what you wanted, and yet you're not willing to express your support 100% for her leadership.
Kieran, I'm not going to add to the comments that I made a few weeks ago. What I'm saying is I'm absolutely supportive of the direction that we are going under Sussan Ley, and I'm not going to be a commentator on any more of the internal stuff. I know this has been a very difficult time for the Liberal Party. We suffered our worst loss in 81 years, but my focus now is firmly on being a very strong team, going out there, selling our policies, and we are focused solely on Australians, on standing up for all Australians. I was in a small business in a cafe this morning in Sydney, and Jason said to me, "We just want a government that makes our country better." And we don't have a government that is making our country better. And under Sussan's leadership, that is very much our focus. We are calling out the Prime Minister's lies, and we are delivering an energy policy that is going to take us forward as a nation.
And should the policy also include taxpayer support for coal-fired power if needed to get them up?
Of course, because what we have said is that we are focused on lower emissions through schemes like the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, which is all about lowering emissions, but we are not going to pick and choose. If there's low emissions coal technology, then we are not going to turn our back on one of the resources in our country that has made us such a prosperous and successful country and kept energy prices so low. Look what's happened in Victoria, Kieran. We are literally running out of gas in Victoria. We have turned our back on our resources of coal, and that's been a very bad decision for our country. So we've made a very strong and definite decision. We are going to be technology neutral. We are focused on driving down emissions, but we are not going to cop lectures from this government, which is lying through its teeth. I mean, look what the record of this government is. We got to 28% below emissions from 2005 levels. In 3.5 years, we've now got to 28.7%. In terms of reducing emissions, this government has barely moved the dial. It is just lie after lie after lie. We're calling it out for what it is. We're not turning our back on any source of energy generation in this country, and we are determined to make our country strong again.
Liberal Senator Sarah Henderson, I know you've got another commitment you've got to get to. Thanks for making the time. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Kieran.